Well, today we are really honored to have with us really somebody that doesn't need any introduction because you see him all over the news, you hear him, you read his columns. David Horowitz is with us today, conservative author, political commentator, and president of the Center for the Study of Popular Culture. And he's with us today on a couple occasions. First of all, he's written an article taking on Oliver Stone's new series coming up, and I think you'll find that to be very interesting, The Untold History of the United States, not only in a television series, but also in a book, which is released in the television series, I think, in about a week. And then also we want to refer back to his book called Radicals, because it is a really great resource, and you may want to pick up a copy of that. Mr. Horowitz, what a delight to have you with us today.
Thank you.
You're a busy guy, to say the least, and I know you have debated Oliver Stone, but this next series coming out has really sparked an alarm in you. What's going on?
Well, I don't know if it's an alarm. I mean, it's a little disturbing that a major channel like Showtime would put out a film which is unadulterated communist propaganda. Stalin's. This is Stalin's version of the Cold War. It's a history of the United States, but it told from a view that's so far left that I mean, I was a leftist, but I got to a point in my leftism where I was critical, at least, of the communist, Moscow's propaganda. But Oliver Stone, his version of the early Cold War is taken directly from a book by a Soviet agent, Karl Marzani, complete with the quotes and everything, that I read and believed when I was 20, but by the time I was 30, I knew that it was a crock. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. Oliver Stone is one thing. He's run these anti-American. He's produced a whole series of anti-American films since JFK and Born on the 4th of July.
Right.
In this one, I mean, the hero is Henry Wallace, who ran for president on the Progressive Party in 1948. The Progressive Party was run lock, stock, and barrel by the American Communist Party, something that's not mentioned in the film, but is an indisputable fact that historians, have established. And in fact, the testimony of communists themselves, they control that party. Henry Wallace in 1950, when the communists invaded South Korea, went on television and said, "I've been duped by the communists," which also is not in the film. Mm-hmm. And yet Oliver Stone portrays Wallace as a visionary, like Obama, although he's very critical of Obama, who's not left enough for him, who could have changed America. Wow. This is just communist propaganda, and it's too bad we can't use the word communist anymore. I mean, I know there's some people probably watching this who at the use of the word communist because that's McCarthyism. But the communists killed over 100 million people. There were the Progressive Party, which was the Communist Party, got over 1.5 million votes. There are many more people following this totalitarian line today. So you really have to talk about it. The doctrines in this book, even when it gets to the Obama administration, corporations are evil, capitalism is bad. Hugo Chavez and Yasser Arafat and Fidel Castro, they're all fine people. About them. We have an enemy within in this country, and we'll have to begin talking about it. I'm not talking about, look, you can criticize, American policy. You can criticize the war in Iraq. I'm a big critic of Obama and his intervention in Libya and his support for the Muslim Brotherhood. That's not the issue. This is straight propaganda about the Cold War out of the Kremlin. It's very different, and it is a total identification with our enemies.
Well, apparently there's an audience out there for it, and that's what you're concerned about, is that it's propaganda, but there are those who believe in this. But a couple of things you're bringing up here. One is the book is critical of the president. I'd like to know what you think of that, because the president is seen as perhaps the most radical president we've ever had. But on the other hand, maybe your own conversion would give us an insight. Can these people be rescued from this nonsense?
No. No, Oliver Stone cannot be rescued. You know, I know Oliver Stone. I actually came to my house. I knew him long before this, but for a Jim Rogan fundraiser. Jim Rogan, if you'll recall, was one of the Republican congressmen who was on the impeachment team when Clinton was impeached. And Oliver gave $1,000 to Rogan's campaign. So, you know, you can find all kinds of things in his profile which are unorthodox, because that's kind of what he is. But he's been very consistent in promoting our enemies and in attacking the United States as the devil incarnate. And what people have to understand is this book, this unreadable book that they've written, and is going to be read by, you know, hundreds of thousands of students. Howard Zinn's book, which is A People's History of the United States, which is also straight out communist propaganda, sold more than 1 million copies in hardback. And that's because our schools, our K-12 schools, and our universities are in the hands in these political areas. I'm not talking about mathematics teachers or chemistry teachers, but in the hands of anti-American leftists. I've written many books about this. Now, as for his critique of Obama, the people on the left, it's a religion, and they often can't handle the complex features of reality. So because Obama didn't ram through single-payer health care, which is a communist health care. The government is the single payer. Single payer is just a nice way of saying communist medicine. Because if the government is the only payer for health care, then it controls the lives of all the citizens. That is a totalitarian control right there. And leftists are upset that Obama didn't ram this through. Well, he couldn't, because the whole Democratic Party isn't a communist party. There's a big communist caucus called the Progressive Caucus, you know, Maxine Waters and people like that in the Democratic Party, but there are other Democrats who are not on board for that, and they were not on board for the single-payer health care plan. But people like Stone, you know, in their religious zeal, don't understand that. And that's one of the reasons he attacked them. Obama also took $100 million from Wall Street in the campaign, and the payoffs to them were that they didn't go to jail. And it's beyond me why Republicans didn't make big issues of all of this, but they don't. I mean, you can't be knee-jerk in defense of Wall Street if you're a conservative.
Right.
These are speculators, and they're big-time crooks. The Goldman Sachs people, the Citigroup people, these are crooks. And, of course, you know, Bush had them, Secretary of the Treasury was a Goldman Sachs guy. I mean, it just...
Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is someone that certainly needs no introduction. You've seen him all over the news. David Horowitz is with us today. We're talking about Oliver Stone's new movie series that's coming out. Showtime is putting this on, and it's called The Untold History of the United States. The book, however, of the same name is being released this week. The series will come out in about a week or so, and he's responding to that. Mr. Horowitz, you know what's so interesting?
It's not an untold story. It was told by the Kremlin.
Well, there you go.
In this book that Stone has put his name on for 50 years, where they just repeat and rehash this anti-American, pro-Soviet, pro-America's enemies propaganda. I may say something about my book, Radicals. These are portraits of radicals, and they in addition to being interesting life stories, they tell. The book was written to tell conservatives how these people think. And the last chapter is called A Modern Machiavelli, and it's about Barack Obama's mentor. And it is how Obama views the world and what his agendas are and what their politics are. And their politics are the politics of deceit. Actually, J. Edgar Hoover once wrote a book about the communists called Masters of Deceit. And of course, they have to be deceitful. Not in the, everybody in the universe spins a story this way or that way. But if you're on the left, you cannot tell people what your agendas are. And that's the message of Saul Alinsky, who was Obama's mentor. You cannot tell people what your agendas are because they will reject you. So people on the left, they always pretend. They pretend during elections, of course, to be fiscal conservatives. They pretend that their socialized medicine is just to cover the uninsured. They call their full communist plan to have the government be the sole provider of health care, single payer health care, to conceal the fact that what they're really proposing is a government takeover of the entire healthcare system.
Wow. On a quick note, do you think American people are waking up to this? I mean, there seems to be an exposure of the liberal mindset unlike we've ever seen. I mean, you got Fox and all the talk radio programs out there beginning to say what you're saying. Do you think it is getting traction?
Yes, but you have to drop the term liberal when referring to socialists, communists, and leftists. You can call them progressives, although they're not progressive either. We're conservatives, always will present the other side. That conservatives are very careful, or usually careful, I should say, when they're criticizing people like Stone. One, not to call for suppressing him, and two, to confront him with the facts instead of just calling him names. If you're on the conservative side, you usually the left, they just call you names, and they think that's an argument. You wanted me to connect this, though, with Benghazi, I believe.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about the video that got all of the attention as to the reason and the purpose of Benghazi. Now we find out otherwise, and as you know, the Secretary of State leaned over to the father of one of the gentlemen that was killed and said, we will arrest him in the morning. I mean, they put the whole story behind this film, and we know now that that was just a lie.
This is a big cover-up of the most shameful and cowardly act by an American president in American history. It's the American way. When your buddies, when your warriors are in danger and fighting for their lives, to defy orders to go help them, which is what Tyrone Woods did and gave his life in the process. It is un-American in the extreme to sit in the Situation Room at the White House and hear their calls for help and deny them that help and then cover up the entire episode as some kind of a protest over a film. This behavior is, you can tell, I mean, I'm at a loss for words to describe how horrific and disgusting it is that Obama and Hillary Clinton, and please, I don't want to hear Republicans saying Hillary is better than Obama. They're cut of the same cloth. And actually, Hillary wrote her a master's thesis at Wellesley on Saul Alinsky, this communist mentor of the two of them. And I used communist there with a small c. By communist, I mean people who condemn the capitalist system, regard corporations as evil, and want to replace it with the socialism, which would be a totalitarian state.
So, you spoke out that earlier, I saw you on television, where you thought the poor guy that was arrested, one of the fundamentals of America's existence of free speech was being violated.
Well, of course. You know, the First Amendment gives every American the right to embarrass themselves in public. I mean, that's what it's about. If you start saying this speech is acceptable and this speech should be outlawed, you know what's going to happen. The party in power is going to outlaw the party out of power. All dissent. There's no way to draw the line. That's why it's a pretty, you know, the Supreme Court has drawn certain lines. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right, but they're very well defined and very narrow and constricted. I saw the video. The video was laughable. Whether, you know, it was just a trailer. What is said about Muhammad was pretty much true. It was just done in an embarrassingly stupid manner, but nobody saw it. I mean, I saw it after the controversy. It was up in July. I mean, you know, this was just a lame. It was a lame cover-up. But what they tried to do was cover it. Our ambassador was murdered along with three, you know, American heroes. And they wanted to cover up and protect the culprits. And why? Because they're in bed with Al Qaeda, Hillary and Obama. That the Libya intervention put Al Qaeda at the helm there. They flew the Al Qaeda flag over the embassy in Benghazi. Right. The security for the consulate our consulate in Benghazi was made with an Al Qaeda guy. He was in charge of security, and that's why the security forces betrayed them, and that's how they got killed. This is such a colossal screw up. This is worse than Jimmy Carter with the helicopter in the desert. This is a very sinister foreign policy disaster. And the Obama administration should be impeached if we didn't have an election. I
was going to ask you that if by chance he is reelected, could he be impeached over this, and should he be impeached over this?
It would be like the Clinton impeachment. He could be impeached in the House. Yeah. If he's elected, we won't take control of the Senate, so the Senate will kill it. Yeah. But I think it's worth pursuing. Just to expose these people. These people are a threat. And when I say these people, I mean Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the people running the Democratic Party are a threat to the security of every American. If Obama is reelected, there will be tens of thousands of deaths as a consequence. Obama has put the Muslim Brotherhood in power. The Muslim Brotherhood is a Nazi organization sworn to destroy the United States and in the process kill all the Jews and then the Christians. That's who the Muslim Brotherhood is. And Obama had made their access to power possible by pulling the rug from under Mubarak in the first place. And then by telling the American people and the world that the Muslim Brotherhood was a moderate secular organization. That's the words of Obama's intelligence chief, when it is a fanatical religious order with a Nazi agenda. Openly. I mean, Hitler hid the final solution from the German people and from the world because he thought that nobody would accept it. The Muslim Brotherhood screams from the rooftops in Ahmadinejad. They wants to exterminate the Jews and wipe America off the face of the earth. And Obama sent them hundreds of billions of dollars and paved the way for their accession to power. You know, the American Constitution defines treason very narrowly, but this is such a betrayal of this country and of people all over the world who want their freedom and don't want to live under an Islamic totalitarian state as to be mind-boggling.
Wow. Well, David, thank you. I love your passion, and I think you represent here what a lot of Americans, we can't find the words to figure out why this Libya thing just doesn't get more traction. We are stunned.
It's simple. The press is a left-wing press. These are the people who sabotaged the Vietnam War and got 2.5 million Cambodians and Vietnamese slaughtered by the communists. Those are the people that run the New York Times and the Washington Post and the network, the journalist sections of the networks. The same people. They're leftists. They're protecting Obama because he's a leftist. They think that people like me are Islamophobes. They don't want to look at any of the facts of what the Muslim Brotherhood, as I say, they don't conceal their agendas. They say we're going to finish the job that Hitler started, and they do it in those words. And their founder, the Muslim Brotherhood, was an open admirer of Hitler who translated Mein Kampf into Arabic in the 30s, and who also said we're going to push the Jews into the sea. And they have not only are they out to kill the Jews, but they're destroying the Christian communities of the Middle East as we speak. And the Obama administration is silent about all this and instead is doing the propaganda work of the Muslim Brotherhood by telling people that they're moderates.
Thank you, Mr. Horowitz. Appreciate you more than you know. Thank you for your writings and your commentary. Keep it up. Keep your heart passion going strong, and we'll have you back soon. And hopefully things will change Tuesday night.
All right. Thank you.
God bless you.